Hi guys, welcome to DnD Tales 5. Again there is 3 short stories. Please let me know your favorite one in the comments. I just ran my best session last night, and now I know how big the barbarian's D is. The party was supposed to go into a goblin mine and stop a gas leak that was making the goblins go crazy and attack each other. In other words, the goblins were violent, but not evil. The party was meant to avoid killing them if possible. The barbarian wasn't having it. He kept asking if he could kill each goblin, with the rest of the party demanding he didn't for various reasons. The druid had been raised by goblins. The paladin thought it was evil. The bounty hunter was worried they wouldn't get paid. And every goblin they come up against, can I kill it? No. While the goblins in the upper mines had been frenzied and hostile, the ones in the lower mines were mostly just standing there dazed. That didn't stop the barbarian from attacking every single one of them on sight. Even the ones that were already unconscious or dead got some kind of violence. The sentence "I subdue the unconscious goblin with my hammer" comes to mind. That goblin didn't make it. But for the most part, he was resisting his urge to kill pretty well. Out of the dozens of goblins down there, he only outright murdered 3 of them. Eventually they found themselves in a room full of dazed goblins and a broken pipe leaking gas. They each rolled a constitution saving throw, and then the fun began. Each character experienced a vivid hallucination that tied in elements of their backstory as well as things that have happened in game. My hope was that it would bring the group closer together by giving the players hints about the characters' backstories and possibly inspire some fun roleplay moments. I was nervous going in that reciting a full scene for each character could be boring for the ones who weren't currently highlighted, but everyone seemed to really enjoy it. For the barbarian scene, he found himself alone on an old battlefield with bodies and discarded weapons. The only light came from the moon, which suddenly flipped, revealing itself to be disc-shaped. Then it fell from the sky, threatening to crush him, but was stopped at the last second when a hand reached out and plucked it from the sky, where it was revealed to be a coin. The person who had taken it was an old friend of the barbarians who had died long ago. He kept flipping this coin as he accused the barbarian of abandoning him and having no honor and stuff. Then hordes of others came in, all people he knew, all cursing him for leaving them. This character had been forced to leave his homeland and later discovered it had been utterly destroyed. They crowded around him and he dropped his weapon and accepted their fury. The last thing he saw as the scene dissolved was his friend flipping the coin, which rose higher and higher into the air until it reached its apex, where it hung like a moon. Then the barbarian woke up in real life again to find himself at the bottom of a goblin pig pile. The other characters were scattered throughout the mines now, so he was alone with the goblins. It was only then I realized what I had done. To his credit, he attempted to fix the gas leak rather than satiating his bloodlust. He wanted to use his armor to act sort of like a bandage. I told him he knew it probably wouldn't work, but he was welcome to try. Problem was it was a chain shirt and he needed a non-porous, or at least less porous, material for this to even have a chance at working. So he asked if he can use his pants. I asked him what they're made of. Leather. Okay, sure, why not? Then as he's about to roll to see if he can do it, he told us he's also going to try to bend the pipes closer together. So I added a strength check to the attempt. Crit fail. In a hilarious display of too much strength, he ripped the pipe from the wall, shredding his pants in the process. Then one of the players asked if the barbarian is wearing underwear. Long pause. I knew what that pause means. We all did. No. We all started dying at the thought of this Winnie the Pooh ass shirt on top, no pants on bottom barbarian. Everyone was still separated, trying to find each other after their individual ordeals, so there was no one around to stop the crazed, half-naked barbarian who had just woken up under a pile of goblins and lost his pants. The barbarian knew the goal. Stop the gas leak. He didn't know the cleric had woken up in the room with the valve that would shut off the gas. And frankly, I'm not sure that knowledge would change things. What he knew was that he was in a room with a problem. He looked at the pipe. He looked at the goblins. He looked at the pipe. He looked at the goblins. Can I kill it? He whispered. No response. He picked up the goblin and used it to plug up the hole, rolling very well on his attempt to do so. The pipe was about 5 or 6 inches across. The goblin was about twice that wide. What followed was the most disturbing death I've been forced to narrate, as this goblin, still alive and fully conscious, was forced bodily into an opening about half as wide as it was. The screams were horrendous. The druid, who also happened to be a werewolf, came upon the sight first. She freaked the fuck out, having been raised by goblins, and tackled the barbarian, pinning him to the floor. Then he tried to push her off of him. They had a STR contest to see who would win. The barbarian won out, so I said that as the druid was holding him down, she glanced down and realized just what it was pressing into her side. Her shock and dismay caused just enough of a lapse in her strength that he was able to flip her off him. The players were howling laughing. Then one of them asked, "Well, how big is it?" Everyone went silent. I had never bothered to prepare information about the characters' dick sizes, so I laughed and said I have no idea. Then quietly, sheepishly, one of the players said 2d4 plus your charisma modifier. I don't know why he knew that, I really don't. The barbarian rolled for it. With his charisma modifier, the result was 9. Now we all know, the 7 feet 11 blue dragonborn barbarian has a 9-inch penis. Just as we were about to get back on track and end the encounter, the rogue quietly rolled a couple dice. Fuck. What did you roll? I looked. 2d4s. Both on a 1. We all started howling, so I asked him, "What's your charisma modifier?" 0. I never did ask if those numbers represented a relaxed state or not. Either way, I don't think the rogue will be going nude in front of the group anytime soon. Last night I accidentally added Shrek to my game. So, onto some quick backstory. I DM a small group of 3 players, 1 human sorcerer, 1 Goliath fighter and 1 Tabaxi ranger, who was absent for the game in this story. The group had gone into a dark spooky forest for a mission, and on the way in had set up a camp. At this camp HS had left her donkey tied to a tree, so that it didn't die in the forest or wander off on its own. The game in question. During last night's game the group returned from their forest adventure and emerged onto the main road. However, they were not at the same spot where they had set up camp, so began walking in the direction they knew would lead to said camp. After about 20 minutes of walking, the party could see 2 figures stood next to a donkey that had been tied to a tree. And as they got closer they started to see details of these 2 figures. Now I have to add that I hadn't fully thought this encounter through, but I had planned for it to be a main interaction for our Tabaxi ranger. He was shy to roleplay but wanted to have more interaction and get into it. Obviously that's difficult to do when you don't show up to the session. So the party starts seeing who these people are. The one closest to the donkey appears to be a human male. He is rather rotund and seems to be clutching his stomach. He looks to be a laborer, given his simple attire. He's wearing shabby and torn brown trousers. He has a loose white shirt and on top of that a stained and sleeveless leather jacket. HS. So he looks like Shrek. Me. GF. Shrek when he's turned into a human, next to donkey. Then came the question that I was dreading. HS. What does the other person look like? I was backed into a corner. While planning this encounter I had tried to make it as interesting for our Tabaxi player as possible. So, the other person is a 6-foot tall Tabaxi male. He is ginger like a tabby cat and seems extremely elegant compared to his human counterpart. He has a fancy black leather coat that has a cape that drapes down over his right side. He has hardy leather trousers, more akin to an adventurer than a noble. At this point both players are chuckling to themselves. HS, and smiling gleefully, me, through gritted teeth and large black boots. At this point we all start laughing and the memes could no longer be contained. So there it is. Shrek, Donkey and Puss in Boots are now all canon in my campaign. And the first words out of Puss' mouth, "Hey now." I start to juggle. Short story time. Me, a tiefling rogue, and my friend, Anal Warlock, were traveling through a cave to find a ritual site. When we got deep into the cave a whole bunch of hooded figures appear. They said a lot of things but to sum it up for you, leave this place or you will perish. After which they just disappear. Which of course makes me and my friend on high alert. But of course, we continue on so we can find the site. Later, we stumble upon 2 of the hooded figures guarding our entryway. I assume this is where the site is so I try to sneak across to find a way around them. Since I am a rogue, I pass it easily and make it to the other side of the cave. However, my friend follows me without a stealth check. And of course the two guards see him, but they don't see me. So I decide to wait in the shadows for the perfect time to strike. The guards don't attack right away, so my friend asks a question to the DM. Friend, are there rocks on the ground? DM, yes. There are rocks on the ground. It is a cave, so there are a whole bunch of them. Friend, okay, good. Can I pick a few of them up? DM, sure, don't see why not. Friend, great. I start to juggle. Now at this point me and the DM are confused. He has not told me any part of his plan. However, I am interested in what he is doing, so I don't speak up. DM, you want to juggle? Friend, yeah. Can I? DM, sure, but you have to roll for it. To see how good you juggle. My friend rolls and he gets a natural 20. So he then starts to juggle the rocks amazingly. DM, okay, you started juggling the rocks and you are doing a great job of it. Friend, good. How are the guards reacting? DM, they are just looking at you with a confused look on their face. They have no idea why you are doing this. Friend, okay. I pull out the alchemist fire from my bag and I start to juggle that as well. DM, you got to roll again for that. So he does and he gets another natural 20. Now both me and the DM are just wondering what he does next. He then proudly announces, friend, I throw the alchemist fire at one of the guards. He rolls. And he gets a 2. DM, you drop the alchemist fire at your feet and it explodes and you take fire damage. The smile is wiped clean off his face as I start to burst out laughing. Friend, fuck. DM, that is just how the dice roll sometimes. Friend, I moon them. DM, what? Me, what? Friend, I pull my pants down and moon them. Since I enjoy seeing my friend fail sometimes, but in me, you have to make him roll for it. You have to. DM, sure, why not? So he rolls and gets a 6. I burst out laughing again. And he puts his head on the table. DM, while you attempt to take off your pants, you fall over and fall right on your face. Friend, my character, picks himself up and just leaves. So his character picks himself up and goes away from the guards humiliated. I follow right behind him and jokingly wave at the guards as we head back.